For today's reading, we're going to read from Something You Forgot Along the Way. It's chapter 10, The Best Tasting Dish. Once there was a king who was determined to eat the world's tastiest dish. He gathered chefs from all over the world, all over the world. But he had grown so accustomed to fine dining that his palate was jaded, and nothing appealed to him. None of them can cook worth a damn, he growled. Find me a better chef. His aides were at a loss until someone came forward and announced himself to be the greatest cook in the world. Can you cook food that will satisfy me? Asked the king. Yes, your highness, although I must ask that you first do exactly as I say. Sounds interesting? Well, all right, I'll do it. So go ahead and make the food. For the next 3 days, the new chef never left the king's side, but simply sat and did nothing. When are you going to cook for me? Asked the king. Soon, your highness, I promise. On the 3rd day, when the king was weak with hunger, the chef brought in a simple dish of vegetables. Here is the world's tastiest dish, just as promised. Bon appetit. The king fell to ravenously. After wolfing down the dish, he marveled, I've never eaten anything so delicious in all my life. What is it, and how did you make it? The sauce that makes all food delicious is hunger, replied the chef. When you are close to starving, any food tastes like ambrosia. The pleasure of eating comes from the lessening of hunger. Without the discomfort of hunger, the pleasure of fine dining could not exist. The same is true in life. Those who avoid suffering cannot experience pleasure either. True happiness is not for the timid. Oh, I forgot about this story. I really like this story. Yeah, it's, let's see. Let me take a moment here to clear up some gems. Yeah, I think it talks a lot about what we discuss in Buddhism around polishing oneself and always finding, as we move from our path towards true happiness, knowing that as we come into this world, we instantly come into a world of suffering, and to avoid it, or I guess overlook it, doesn't necessarily help our growth process. And so to have that hunger for life, essentially, that hunger to live, that it's that will. I think, Bita, you might have shared this before, and maybe I'm getting a little too dark here, but to think of death, I mean, that's like the easy way out, right? But to actually wake up every day and fight to live, and be aligned with that will, that hunger to experience and grow in life, is actually what makes this journey, worth worth the fight. Because only then can we understand true happiness, or that pleasure, or even those little moments of maybe not true happiness, but a certain level of happiness that brings us closer to that enlightenment, or that opening of the heart. Yeah, we have a few minutes here. I don't know if anybody else would like to add more to the explanation. I'll go ahead and mute myself.
Yeah, that was a really good point about staying hungry, and how hungry, that desire is a motivator. Usually we think of our desires as being impediments, as being hindrances on our spiritual path. But if you think of them as being motivators, when you hunger for the truth and you want to listen to Dharma, it's I think it's a great motivator. And also something in the story that stuck out to me as well today was the contrast that's needed in life and in our spiritual journey. The contrast of having and needing. The king had everything he wanted. He was jaded. He had adapted to such a pleasurable experience of eating that he took it for granted. And as the story says at the end, if we don't experience hunger, we can't take the pleasure in satisfying that hunger. So I think that desire is could be a motivator, and when we're aligned with it, when we notice it, when we think like, yeah, I have to fill my soul. Give me that soul food.
Indeed, thank you very much, Rick. Yeah, it's a beautiful reminder to stay hungry for the good things, I guess, the yeah, what will bring us closer to that path of true happiness. And to also to add to that, to see the value in the suffering in those hungry times, and yeah, see them for what they are, as sustainers of our true faith. But yeah, that's it for today. As Vita always says, thank you so much for dedicating exactly 27 minutes of your time to learning more about the Dharma for your spiritual well-being and your mental health. I wish you a beautiful Sunday and a beautiful start of your week. Take care.
Okay, thank you, Estefania. And we will have Kodama Sensei's talk in 30 minutes, anyone who is joining us. Thank you again. You guys did beautifully. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.